Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, we have a fabric haul and it has a theme, Amelie, the movie. It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket. So I have been working hard on my tweed jacket, the Berta one with the dolman sleeves, but it's taking a lot of time. So we will have a fabric haul and I decided that I need a theme. So the movie from about 20 years ago, Amelie, it's a French movie. It's so adorable. And I got out some dresses that I already have in greens and reds because that's sort of the colors of the movie. And I ended up getting distracted and getting out my ones with Christmas holly on them. I have 9 dresses with Christmas holly on them. Anyway, here's a recap of the movie if you haven't seen it, so you'll know what I'm talking about. So The Fabulous Adventures of Amelie is a French movie from 2001. And yeah, the cinematography is absolutely gorgeous. And I love these super soaked, vibrant colours. But the main colours that she wears are red and green. But her house is sort of this peachy coloured. Anyway, you start off with her as a child. Her mum is a nervous wreck. Her dad is, I think he's autistic. Anyway, she's homeschooled. So she dreams a lot. She sort of escapes into her dream world and she takes photos of clouds that look like animals, and then we shift transition to her growing up and she still likes skimming rocks and she's a little bit mischievous. No spoilers because she does some really funny things. Naughty but funny. And anyway, so she works in a cafe during the week and then on the weekends she goes out and visits her father. And yeah, this is his garden gnome that he absolutely loves. So she feels like her dad doesn't get out enough. So she steals his garden gnome, but she did it too late at night and the metro closed down. So she has to sleep there. And because she's sleeping in the subway, waiting for it to open up again, she meets this guy. Well, she sort of sees him. And each time a new character is introduced, you get like 5 things that they love. So Amelie loves putting her hand in beans. She loves going and watching vintage cinema and all these other things. Anyway, so then the metro opens back up and she goes back into Paris and she resumes normal life. It's just another day as a waiter in a cafe in Paris. But then she gets home at night, has a shower and she's putting perfume on and she sees on the news that Princess Diana died in the car crash and she drops the lid of a perfume. It hits the wall of the bathroom, a tile falls off and she finds this box, and then so she goes on this adventure trying to find the owner of the box. And also she has this neighbour. She looks out her kitchen window. She can see down into his apartment. And yeah, so she's kind of been spying on him for years now. And he actually invites her over and she goes over and she has some mulled wine and looks at his painting because he's got really brittle bones, so he can't leave his apartment. And each year he painstakingly makes a new copy of this Renoir painting and it's got all these people in it and there's this lonely girl in it and he's like, oh, you're like her. And she's like, no, I'm part of life. I live my life. I interact with others. And he's heard about her quest to find the owner of the box. And because their landlord is their concierge, she's a gossip. But anyway, so she says, no, I've got other things in my life too. And she shows him the guy. Well, he dropped this photo album of photos. So she shows it to him and she's like, isn't it weird? What do you think it can mean? And he's like, well, you could find him and talk to him and ask him. And she's like, yeah, no. So she goes home and then see how she's got these animals on the wall, these portraits. They come to life and talk to her. And she's like, okay, the paintings are talking to me. I'll go meet him. Anyway, the guy works in a ghost train and he's like, ooh. And he spooks her out. He's a bit creepy, but she seems to like it. Anyway, she decides instead of just talking to him directly, she's going to go on this whole epic saga thing. So she dresses up as Zorro and she makes him a kidnap ransom letter sort of thing. So it says, if you want the photos back, you have to come to this cafe at this time. And he finds the note just in time. And so she's working at the cafe, obviously, and he comes in and she's super nervous and she won't say anything. So she's writing on the sign behind him. So she writes on the glass and he turns around and he's got the photo of her and he's like, "Is this you? Is this you?" And she's like, "No, no, no, it's not me." And he's like, "Yeah, it's you." And she's like, "No." And she runs out. And then she's like, this is her moment, all is lost moment. She's in the deepest of despair. And she's like, "No, I've got to do something. I've got to go back and I've got to talk to him." But when she goes back, her boss says, "Oh no, he left with Gina." This is another waiter at the cafe. And so Amelie's heartbroken because she thinks they hooked up. So she's like, "Oh no, I'm going to be alone my whole life." And but actually, Gina was just checking out the guy and being Amelie's wingman. And as soon as she finds out that he's okay, then she gives him Amelie's address and he turns up at her door, and at first she doesn't answer, then she does, and they live happily ever after, or whatever their version of happily ever after is. And also the garden gnome, Amelie gets it back off her friend who was an air hostess, and she goes back out to her father's and she makes the garden gnome magically appear in the garden again. And the father has been sent all these photos of the garden gnome from around the world. So he finally decides he's going to go on his world trip that he kept putting off. So everyone gets a happily ever after. And it's just the sweetest movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely see it. And if you haven't even heard the soundtrack, you absolutely have to. It's got the most gorgeous soundtrack. Anyway, so I saw a couple of these fabrics and I was like, "Oh, this reminds me of that French movie so much." And then I ended up sort of going on a roll, and because I've kind of been buying up fabrics for the second half of the year, even though we're well into it now. So, this one I bought because, it's got the red roses with the green leaves, but the other sort of these yellow roses and the beige background just reminded me, like, the movie has the most beautiful interiors and all the different characters have these gorgeous vintage wallpapers on the walls of their apartment. Oh, they're just gorgeous. Anyway, that's what this reminded me, the interiors of the various characters. And it's a cotton lawn, so it's like a light shirting fabric. And I was expecting it to be more see-through, so I was going to make a shirt out of it, which, I mean, it would have looked gorgeous as any of these shirts. I mean, it would look beautiful with those billowy sleeves or just as a plain this Vogue shirt. This one I love in particular. I think the one that's made up with the picture would have looked absolutely beautiful. But because it's so, like, I can make a dress out of it, and I bought enough for a shirt with puffy sleeves, so there's definitely enough for a smallish dress as well. So I might make it into a dress. I did a step-by-step one guide to this McCall's one last month, and I had the sleeveless one that was black as well as the Liberty of London print. And yeah, this is a much lighter fabric, and so far I think I've made it up in quite a lot of dark colours, and I just think it would be gorgeous in a light, really, really summery one. So I'm thinking that's what I might do for that one. Next is a cotton linen blend. It's more linen than cotton actually, and it's really heavy. It's like for trousers or a skirt, or I guess a coat. And it's just got the most beautiful flowers. Again, it reminded me the colours of Amelie, but more of the wallpapers rather than any of her outfits. Because it's an independent film, they often just buy plain coloured clothes for the characters in case the print of a dress clashes with something. They can't really afford to replace it. I love the flowers in this, but particularly the green flowers. I am a sucker for green flowers. I just think they're the most beautiful thing. But I also love the geraniums and the little buds. And I don't know, I just love everything about this. I think it's the beige background too. It just makes it look so vintage. And so I think I'll make a dress out of that one as well. This is a suiting, so a wool, but it's very thin and lightweight. So it's almost like working with just a heavy cotton, but with it's got more drape and it's more luxurious. Anyway, Amelie wears a lot of red. So I was thinking maybe one with just lapels and no collar, or just the top, the bodice of this dress, so it would be like a cropped jacket. Or there's this one here, it's quite nice. I like that one. So anyway, yeah, just this plain simple red jacket. Okay, the chances of me leaving it plain and not beading it are very slim because I have a lot of red beads. And yeah, so anyway, that's that wool. So next up we have another cotton lawn, so the lighter, really beautiful cotton. And it's just, I love these warm winter tones, autumn tones. It's absolutely gorgeous. Next month I'm doing autumn tones, so I'll probably make this up into a shirt next month. I can't decide whether it's berries or rose hips. I think some of them are rose hips if you look at it, and then some of them are berries. So I think I'll just do that plain Vogue shirt, or actually, I have a Simplicity shirt from the 1940s, so I might use that pattern. Normally, even when I buy fabric specifically for shirts, I'll get it out and I'm like, oh, no, okay, I'm just going to make a dress instead. But this one is definitely shirt material. I'm really looking forward to having that to wear as a shirt. And here we go. This is definitely going to be a dress. It is absolutely, it's a rayon. And yeah, I don't know. There's something about this pattern that I absolutely love. It's got historic floral motifs. And I love there's an iris, but all of them, I absolutely love all of these flowers, all of these leaves. I just think it's gorgeous. And the more you look at it, the more detail you see. And it's just so beautiful. And I know I should want to try new dress patterns for this. Ooh, this Vintage Vogue one I've been wanting to try for absolutely ages. And this is just a nice semi-fitted one. But I think I'll probably use the McCall's one because, yeah, some dress patterns you just know, oh, I've got that Empire Line Simplicity one, but I already have a red in that. I don't know. Anyway, it's only a few yards, so it will be a pretty simple dress, but it's nice and floaty. And yeah, I just think it's really, really pretty. And I'd love to have it done up as a really simple dress. Anyway, the next one, oh, this is another rayon. And I don't like it, but it's just so vintage. And sometimes I just get things because they're incredibly, I just realized it's round the wrong way and I'm subtly trying to turn the camera without getting you dizzy. It didn't work. But yeah, it's just because it's olive and khaki month. I thought maybe just a simple shift dress out of this. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I've never worn anything like this. And so it didn't immediately occur to me. But I do actually have a vintage style Chanel jacket in khaki and red. So it would match perfectly with these. And I also have, these are tweeds that I'm yet to make up into jackets. So there's the khaki, olive and flamenco one. And I mean, it matches the tones beautifully. And then there's the other olive one in the background, which is just like a perfect match. You can't tell on camera, but in real life, the dress and that back classic tweed are perfectly matched. And this one, if you see, look at the flowers, there's the tiniest amount of blue in them. So from far away, you'd be like, why is she wearing that outfit together? But then if you came up and talked to me and you saw the dress under the jacket, you'd be like, oh my God, they're a perfect match. So yeah, I just think they'd be great together. So that's going to be a simple clean lines dress. And then this is another linen with a little bit of cotton into the mix. It's quite heavyweight, so it's supposed to make a coat or trousers out of it, but I'm going to make just a simple shift dress. And again, it just reminds me of wallpaper, vintage wallpaper. And I love the autumn leaves and the red roses. And I just thought it's so Amelie. I know it's a black background, but she does sometimes wear black. And I just thought it was so incredibly vintage and beautiful and interesting. So I bought a couple of yards, enough to make just a really simple dress. So I went searching amongst the patterns I have. This vintage dress is absolute divine. This one I haven't had a chance to make up yet. It's so beautiful. I just think it's because it's sort of got a body to it, like it would hold its shape really well. Oh, and this jacket, when I showed you the red wool, I forgot to mention that I also have this vintage jacket pattern, and I think, yeah, those two would look absolutely gorgeous together. Or maybe I'll just make a skirt with that fabric. I don't know, it's gorgeous. Okay, so next we have another rayon, and it is the most vibrant Kelly green. I love it. I mean, it looks kind of, I'm looking at the footage now, and it kind of looks green, but in real life, it has got so much energy and vibrance. It is the most beautiful green, and I think it's supposed to be like a jungle print or something, animal print, and then it's got some random white dots in it. Because it's a rayon, it's really light and fluttery and very, very drapey. So I guess I should want a fit and flare type dress for it. I've got the Simplicity jacket came with the dress, so there's that. Or this one. It's yeah, I just want to make everything up in that dress at the moment. But I also have the Empire Line one. Shockingly, I don't think I have a green Empire Line dress yet. I do have a baby doll length in one of my many holly dresses. I cannot believe I have 9 dresses made out of different holly fabrics. The only reason I counted them was because I found another quilting fabric with Christmas holly on it, and I was like, this looks familiar. And then I went and I was like, Jesus, I already have 9. But yeah, I don't have the particular new one that I just saw. Anyway, these are 2 bits of fabric that were it's 5 yards all up. One cut is 3 yards and one cut is 2 yards. Yeah, what can you do? It's like in the clearance section, sometimes you just get remnants, and it's just as it is. You either buy it or you don't buy it. You can't really do anything about the fact that it's cut in half. So I thought what I would do is make, with the 3 yards, make a dress, and with the 2 yards, make a floaty shirt, because they're fabric width, fashion fabric width. So they're 60 inches wide. They're nice and wide. And it's a seersucker, so it's got that weird sort of texture to the cotton. It sort of looks wrinkly, but not, in sort of checked rows. And I just think the flowers are absolutely beautiful. So the dress I make from this is definitely going to be vintage. I know this is for a petticoat or an underdress, but I just think it would be a gorgeous dress. This one is actually a skirt and a shirt or a blouse, and I'm so in love with them. This, I have made at least 6 or 7 dresses. I first made it in the end of October last year, and I swear I love it. This one is actually a wrap dress, but it's a very ritzy wrap dress. But I haven't tried it yet because I keep getting distracted by making the other one because it's got the most perfectly full skirt. I guess I should make the shirt first, and depending on how billowy the sleeves of that are, I might just have to do like a Depression era 1930s dress. We'll see. I've got this shirt, and it's so I could make that, and then I could use more fabric in the dress and make it nice and full. I don't know. I just love the combination, the grey lavender, the sort of blacky grey rose leaves, the wheat, the yellow wheat, and then the dahlias and the chrysanthemums in the 2 different reds. It's just, and that sort of purple flower as well. I just think it's gorgeous, and it drapes so beautifully. From far away, it sort of looks a little bit boring, I guess, but up close, I just love it. And the texture of a seersucker cotton, I love it. It is, everything screams vintage. Well, subtly sings rather than screams. But I just love it. It is so understated and yet sort of, yeah, I just love it. Anyway, that was the last fabric. So those are my fabrics. And as I mentioned, I'm still working on my beaded tweed jacket. It is taking forever, but I'm loving the process. So the next video you will see is a UFO that it was actually 2 dresses. In November last year, I started making up a bunch of different vintage dresses, and this Butterick 6055 from the 1950s, I really loved it. And when I first made it, and so I cut out the one in green and one in red, but then I wore it a bit, and I was just like, the skirt isn't full enough. I mean, it's a beautiful dress on other people, but I have a small torso and small shoulders, and long legs. So it looked all wrong on me. So yeah, I decided to combine the skirt pieces of the two that I'd cut out and mush the bodices together as well to create one. And yeah, so that's a video you'll see next while I spend yet more time working on that embellished tweed jacket. It is going to be so pretty when it's done. So thank you very much for watching my fabric haul of clearance and remnant fabrics inspired by the aesthetic of the French movie Amelie. If you've never caught the movie before, I definitely recommend it. I think as I get older, because it's like 2 decades old now, and I think as I get older I'm more like the old guy who's a neighbor, who's just, all he does every year, he just paints the same painting over again. It's really elaborate, and pretty much all I do is make all these beaded jackets, which are very, very similar, apart from the fact that I use different beads and a different tweed on each jacket. So yeah, I was watching it, I was like, ooh, finally a character I can relate to, kind of, which I'm not sure is a good thing. Anyway, I hope I've inspired you to rifle through your fabric stash and dig out some of the older fabrics that you have and dust them off and make them into something lovely and vintage. And yeah, definitely catch that movie because it's just lovely. It's so beautiful, and the music is gorgeous too. So thank you very much for watching, and happy sewing.